Today is March 11th, and Yankees. A lot of injuries. Let's talk all about him. The big guy. He's out. Tommy John. TJ for GC. Sad. Let's talk Yanks.
Recaps galore, weekly awards,
Stellines.
hot takes. Get your Yankees news from these two fine dudes. It's time for Talkin' Yanks. Talkin' Yanks with old John Boy and Jake. Talkin' Yanks with old John Boy and Jake.
Hello and welcome to Talkin' Yanks. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Jimmy. His name is Jake. BBD producing in the corner. Brought to you by our good friends over at SeatGeek, where you can use code YANKS2025 to get 10% off any tickets. They've got 28 million downloads of their app, and they're rated number 1 in the ticketing department. 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek. Concerts, sports, festivals, and more. You can get tickets to baseball games, NBA, NHL, and tons of other stuff. Golf's coming up. March Madness is coming up. Lots of stuff. Code YANKS2025 gets you 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. Jake, I am coming to everyone from the office here in Manhattan. Can you let everyone know where you're coming from?
James Davis, everyone. Hello. We'll get through this. I'm coming from Austin, Texas, a city built on natural lighting and Wi-Fi. So this might be like my best looking broadcast ever. I'm at South by Southwest. So just, I know there's going to be some morose parts of this episode with Gerrit Cole and all the Yankees injuries, the most in baseball. But yeah, pretty cool. Me and Peter Moylan are speaking on a panel today that's going to be very interesting. We're after some football guys, Colt McCoy and Jay Gruden, and then we kick off happy hour, which I don't know, either God is a woman or they know me and Peter, and then we're followed by Taylor Rooks and late edition Chris Paul. So yeah, me and Peter are excited and horrified because we don't know what the crowd is going to be. It's the Sportico house. So is it sports business people? Like, do they want us to deep dive in the baseball weeds, or do they want us to talk sports business? So we're going to read the room a little bit. We have a couple itineraries, and worst case, we'll just dance our way out. But yeah, thanks to everyone. I think South by Southwest wanted to check a sports box, and they said baseball, and they said John Boy Media. So thank you guys. And let's figure out how the Yankees are going to win the World Series.
Let's do that. Also, Courtney is doing like a business thing from a business side of John Boy Media. Jake, I googled Austin slang just because I want to make sure you're kind of hip and cool.
Right. Lived in the area for a while, but
well, do you know the slang?
I am the slang.
You know what Guadalupe is?
Oh yeah.
And,
the Virgin.
Man Shack.
Oh, head over to the Man Shack, Braj.
Okay. And one more for you. Die 35.
Oh, bro. So, yeah.
Okay. Cool. Now you know everything. Yankees have some injuries. Big news. Gerrit Cole, Tommy John, surgery. That's the biggest topic, I think. Stanton's injury is severe in both elbows. The way I want to talk about it kind of rolls the two together in a way. So I don't have them as like two separate things. Tyler Matzik, he's injured, and Ian Hamilton hasn't appeared in the spring game and has an infection that slowed him down early in camp. First reading about the Hamilton ones for me. I was on vacation. I was in Disney World, really not tracking. He got an infection. Matzik's quote, "I feel really good, but the MRI says I shouldn't feel really good."
That's a man. That's a guy with the nickname Tyler Nutsack.
Wow, weird. Okay. Anyway, the Cole one is the biggest news, obviously. It doesn't, I prepared myself for this. I've been preparing myself for this. because we heard like whispers, whether real or not real. Like the person who sent us still could have been guessing at the time, but it was before Soto even went to the Mets. We were like, we got a message saying, hey, the Yanks are going to go get an ace because they're worried about Cole's arm. And that's also why Cole didn't go to free agency, because he didn't want to physicals. That still could be wrong and not true, but I'm just saying it made me prepare for this. And when they signed Fried, I said, I hope this is an addition and not a replacement because they think Cole's going to get hurt. So it's bummer, but I was kind of waiting for it in a way.
Yeah, I mean, a 34-year-old turning 35 who's thrown a ton of innings that had elbow problems last year. Like, it's not the craziest thing in the world. So yeah, I'll tell you what, when that Brian Joke Hoke book comes out in a couple years about what really happened that day, that's going to be an interesting one, because we were just new boot goofing in the Talkin Yanks chat. Like, is that good guy Yankees? Because Cole did opt out, and it's Cole and Boris and Cashman, and then they didn't opt in because they opted out, so they just created the same contract. So I don't know. That's going to be a funny one to look up one day, because the Yankees weren't willing to put another $36 million on at the end of the contract, which is interesting because that doesn't help them too much for this year, although there is going to be a Cole insurance policy that I believe is 75% or usually is. So we can talk about that when we talk about replacements and things of that nature. But yeah, I think when all of that was in the pot and we did all of our Soto audible plans and things of that nature, we know the Yankees, and maybe too much, in my opinion, believe in, they've wanted to get horses for a while. Like, I know we've already mentally haven't thought of Rodon in that light, but even when they added Rodon, we were like, I don't know, do we need more hitting? But they're trying to load up the aces. So they add Fried, and then the Cole news drops. So I don't know, obviously stinks. It's kind of the best time of year for it to happen, because Cole's out this year, wash your hands on it, and then we can start daydreaming of him coming back mid-season next year or something like that, and hopefully being built up for a playoff run.
Yeah. It sucks because Cole's awesome, and I like him, and I want his Yankee career to be full of, every year there's tons of stats, and we already got 2020 taken away from us when you just look at game logs and stuff like that. So it's a bummer. That being said, my issue comes from... So let me think about how to phrase this. I am not concerned about the pitching. I am not. I have stats I was trying to dig into. I got here early to back it up. I trust the Yankees in pitching. The rotation was without Cole for a majority of it last year. They did well. The Matt Blake era has done good by pitching. It's okay. They lost Soto, and the whole kind of circular conversation was, well, the offense isn't going to have the big thump at the beginning. Maybe it's more spread out. If the offense got worse, the pitching got better and the defense got better. But now the pitching, Fried replacing Cole, might stay the same. At best, or around that stays the same. Slightly less, slightly more, whatever you want to say. It's relatively as last year when Cole was out for half the year.
Right.
But now the offense is less. So that's where, and if you knew Stanton was going to be out, you needed more thump. So I'm really not overly concerned about the pitching. I do have trust in the Yankees that they're able to build something there and piece together. But as the team at the whole now is worse than last year, where there was arguments that because the pitching got so much better with a full year of Cole and now Fried and Rodon and another year of Heel when we were saying that. Well, now Heel's gone for half the year and Cole's gone for the full year. And now the pitching could be the same as last year, but the hitting does not have the thump of Judge and Soto. So that's where the Stanton news, I'm like, that stinks more. That we didn't go out and get Thump, and Cashman said he's on a mission to find a righty bat, which you did some research as well, but you could have addressed that more earlier if you knew the sand elbows were severe.
Yeah. Again, it becomes this weird conversation of what did the Yankees know and when, because they knew about Stanton's elbows, but did they know how bad it got? And again, we kind of just did that with Cole, but it makes sense, like an older pitcher who's thrown a lot of innings. And yeah, it's my philosophy that I've kind of put on here and I've brought to Talkin' Baseball a little bit when I look at teams is just, okay, if a starting pitcher gets hurt, you could call up a guy for 3 starts and they might be nice. I know you got some Cody Poteet stats. And like, that's a perfect example. Like whenever the Yankees tapped on Cody Poteet and it was like, hey, we need 5 innings today, it kind of worked. Where hitters, if you lose a hitter for 4 weeks, you're not going to call someone up who mashes. That's just not how baseball works. So that's where building around aces in a rotation, I don't know. It was always a little weird for me, especially as we did Yankees history stuff. And it's like, wait, the Yankees hitters outshine Yankees pitching so much. Like whenever it's like, okay, best Yankees rotation, I'm taking Whitey Ford. You're like, what? The guy from the Adam Sandler movie? So I don't know, man. It's I see both points. Stanton's in such a weird area anyways, because he's for an injury-prone player, he's a New York dream, like between quotes and the postseason stuff that we're all like, all right, let's figure that out when we get there. I don't know. I've been trying to push my hitting agenda. Hey, I think they're going to pitch the ball. Like you said with Matt Blake, he deserves a lot of credit. And it's still good pitchers. Like Carlos Rodon would be a lot of teams' massive signing. Max Fried got $200 million. That, I think some of the positive spins are Gerrit Cole. He had 17 regular season starts to a 3.41 last year. Like, can we replace that? Kind of. Heel put together kind of a full season that if you're trying to get to the postseason and then, all right, let's figure it out from there. And obviously trade deadline and all that stuff. But hitting wise, you just can't replicate that. You can't bring up a guy. I hope Ben Rice goes nuts this year and we start penciling him into our future. But guys, Ben Rice or Everson Pereira or whoever could have nice years for the Yankees and have 711 OPSs. Pitchers, you got a better chance of finding something for a little bit.
Yeah. On the pitchers, for people that maybe aren't as confident or trying to figure out what we're saying, just in the history of this show, here's some starting pitchers that had to win a spot in the rotation or weren't part of it and got called up due to injury in the last couple of years and had nice stints as starters. 2017, you had Luis Severino and Jordan Montgomery. Neither of those guys had any expectations. People didn't even know who Monty was before spring. Sevy was in the Sessa failed reliever category before that year. And they went off. In 2018, Domingo Germán stepped up to replace Sevy and had a great half season or a good half season. 2021, Nestor Cortez jumps into rotation after being a bullpen arm, and you're not expecting him. You had last year, Heel did it. You had King in 2023. They turned him into a starter. So there is a history across all of baseball, not just like relatively new Yankees, that things happen. Like guys you don't think you can count on, all of a sudden you can count on. Last year was Luis Heel when they lost Cole. Like things do happen. In the last 2 seasons, can you do that stat I pulled up, Beebs? The last 2 seasons, do the other one first. So this is what I liked looking at, Jake. These are starts made by guys who were not supposed to be in the rotation out of spring. So in 2023, they had 17 starts made by guys who were not supposed to be in the rotation to a 2.52 ERA. And league average ERA is starting pitchers 4.45. In 2024, last year, and obviously Heel counts for a lot of this, 38 games started to a 4.02 ERA, league average ERA 4.3. So the Yankees have been able to take pitchers that were not supposed to be in the starting five. They call them up, they change them from a reliever to a bullpen, or they call them up. This is Michael King, Randy Vasquez, Luke Weaver, Luis Gil, Will Warren, Cody Petit last 2 years, and get results out of them. So it sucks losing Cole. If we were going into the postseason and we were penciling him in to be our number one and he got hurt right before then, it would be devastating. But going into the season, with the trade deadline available to go find someone else that can pencil in for the postseason, and we'll worry about that when we get there, I do think this Yankees team has the ability to get by with turning someone that's not on the roster right now into a 4 or a 5 for the regular season, and a good 4 or 5. And then you do have Fried, Rodon, Clark, and Stroman as your 1 through 4. So pitching department, sucks because Gerrit Cole is awesome, and having Cole and then Fried was
right.
Really, really, really good. But even with them gone, I still think they can get by in a regular season. Now the division got better, so that might be tougher. But the AL is still kind of weak. So that's the stats I was digging into pitching wise.
Yeah, it's unfortunately the season has turned from, okay, Yankees went to the World Series last year. We did add a significant free agent pitcher, and we kind of got ourselves hyped. All right, the Yankees are going to pitch a ton, and supposedly they're going to play this new brand of baseball that we would call an old brand of baseball. They're going to play defense. They're going to be athletic. And then I guess, the scary things that I think enters Yankee fans' heads is, part of playing that brand of baseball does go back to the opposite of Boone's managerial style, which, hey, Boone's won a ton of games and they went to the World Series. And, the Glaber conversation that we've done a few times by now, Boone might deserve more credit there or less credit there. We're unsure because, okay, say they kicked Glaber to third base and he just got broken. Well, then we don't have a leadoff hitter. And then maybe we lose to the Guardians or Royals. So bringing that offense to the World Series, there should be some manager claps, or this is the start of just a horrible cycle where we're going to look back and be like, wait, we beat the Royals and the Guardians, and then Cole got hurt, and then everyone started getting old, and it's a scary thought because the Red Sox are good. The Red Sox are really good. The Orioles won 91 games last year, and it felt like their worst-case scenario. The Orioles felt like they had a down year, and looking at some of their stats, it's kind of they were 4th in runs. They lost some guys, but I don't know. It's always interesting because they have so much youth. The view has gone back to how do we win to the division, and I think that's okay for now. And they're, like you said, with our pitching, that should be fine. If this brand of defense and good baseball and a deep lineup actually carries and there's merit to that, I'm going to start bringing back corny phrases. I do think offense is contagious, and the Yankees had 2 guys that were incredible, and then everything else was contagious in a bad way. I hope this team is playing good baseball because they have a lot of the talent. But definitely the season is turning into, let's make sure we lock in a playoff spot. Would love to win the East, and then it's going to be a massive deadline. And I think that's when those conversations are going to become really wild because on one hand, we saw teams like the Mets, even the Dodgers, or more so the Dodgers. The Dodgers before the World Series were going with 2 starting pitchers. So we've seen the starting pitcher lose, the Atlanta Braves a couple years ago. They were out of starting pitchers. They were doing opener days. So I think the deadline is going to be really interesting just from the fact of, okay, are we going to need hitting? Yes. Are we going to need pitching? Yes. What do you believe in more? Because the other side of that conversation is the Texas Rangers and the Dodgers, who just won the World Series. They both had starting pitchers ready to go for the World Series, and they had 6 starting pitchers on the IL. They basically had 8 deep rotations. So I wonder how the Yankees front office is viewing that, and they're probably going to let the season decide. And I think that's the other thing that Yankee fans, in my opinion, need to come to grips with. And Buster Olney had a good article on ESPN today about it. Like Cashman and the Yankees are going to wait. Like I've seen Sandy out there. I don't think we have the capital to get Sandy. But at any of the other options, you wait to the deadline because these Yankees are going to be good. Coming off 2023, the worst Yankee season that all of us have gotten to watch. Hey, what the hell? Willie Calhoun, Jake Bauers, I don't need to do that whole thing right now.
Come on.
But we saw that they watched that play out, and this team is better than that team. And that team won 82 games. So the Yankees win some games, get 10 games up, be ahead at the deadline, be competing for the East, and then see where the chips are. And probably the answer is, because we've seen Cashman do this, he's just going to go for the best value. So if he sees a third baseman at the right price tag or a starting pitcher at the right price tag, he's just going to get that guy because that's conducting good business.
I was going to ask you, do you want to go through the exercise of what's the next move? Cole's out, because I personally don't. I don't think they're doing anything. So I just agree with what you said. I don't know if you still want to do it just for the sake of doing it, but when I saw all those trades, it was like, go get Cease, go get Sandy Alcantara. It's like, guys, those trades are, and I could be wrong. I'm not saying whatever, but in my head, that's the Yankees are. I've never seen them move from such a place of no leverage.
Yeah,
I don't foresee that happening at all. I think they would wait till the season starts.
It's funny because, there's a couple things in play here. There's Yankee fans that still want the Yankees and expect the Yankees to be the Yankees, and it's just Twitter or whatever they interact that it's like, we'll go get Sandy. And part of me loves that. I wish things still worked that way. They don't. The other side of that, our guy Trevor Plouffe from Talkin Baseball and JM Warehouse and everything we do, Trevor, it's so funny. He gets mad at Yankee fans for still acting that way, which he's partially right, but we counter that, and we're like, well, the Yankees front office tells us they're still the Yankees, so we want to believe that. Now, the other side of that is kind of good baseball sense, where Trevor was like, well, dude, you guys have World Series aspirations, and you just lost Gerrit Cole. You need to replace that, right? And I'm kind of like, yeah. Unfortunately, these Yankees, and this is where maybe people running a front office do get a little more credit. They have no leverage right now. They'd be asking for everything. Players that we wouldn't even think be on the table. The Marlins don't have to trade us Sandy Alcantara. They would ask for Wells, Dominguez, Jones, and Warren.
Lombard.
So that's not a good way to do business. So, no, I still think there's going to be a flurry of moves, but it's not the moves people are looking for. And, hey, maybe it is a pitcher that we haven't thought of. Or I did dig up a list of, righties who can kind of play third base and left field. I don't think it's who people are looking for.
No,
but those are going to happen still, but not the big move.
I agree. There's definitely going to be moves made because there's so much back end help all across the roster and lineup. There will be some end of spring trades for sure.
The only thing, and maybe this is dream world, say a team like the Padres, who the Padres have just gone through new ownership. They had the Dodgers pinned down 2-1, that they were probably the second best team in baseball, blah, blah, blah. They do have an interesting situation with Cease and King that they have 1 year left that I do wonder. Let's say, Jim, you're my number one pitching scout. You saw Will Warren and you're like, ooh, that's different and that looks good. If the Padres liked Will Warren, you're talking about 5 years of control. Now, Will Warren hasn't shown anything at the major league level yet. If the Padres were willing to do something, would 5 years of a young guy like that for 1 year of a Michael King or something actually move a meter? Maybe, but you can't believe the Yankees or the Padres are going to do that.
Yeah, and the Yankees definitely can't be trading from a weakness. Like, they
Right.
can't trade away a pitcher for a pitcher. They wouldn't do that.
Yeah, it's the going for the World Series versus what do you think Will Warren is, you know?
Yeah, I just kind of take away the sports part of it and just the business part of it, like trading away a weakness in a place of no leverage. It's just like too probably you read a book and says don't do this.
Well, I think I don't know. I think that's more so just a swap. Like we're getting a bona fide MLB pitcher for a year at the risk of losing a bona fide MLB pitcher for 4 years.
If they had someone for a year and a half, like if they didn't believe in Warren, then I would see it. Like Justice Sheffield. Like,
Right.
They never really believed in him. They got 3 years, 2 years of Paxton, 2.5 years, 2 years of Paxton for all 6 years of Justice Sheffield. But the scouts didn't believe in Justice Sheffield, and I think the Yankees didn't really either. So that was the old Chance Adams hype train.
Right. But they actually like Will Warren.
They actually like their pitching program now. Like, since they've changed it,
Right.
they actually like their prospects that come up.
And that's where this would probably hurt Yankee fans. I think if the Padres called and said Mike King for Will Warren, I think the Yankees would scoff at it because they're like, Will Warren's going to be the next Clark Schmidt or maybe Michael King, and he's going to be good for 5 years. So that's where, for them, it's probably worthwhile to let Will Warren roll out there. If he's good, like, okay, that opens up the board completely. If he's not, you're kind of in the same spot.
Yeah. I don't expect a big move. I expect little moves. Bullpen, catcher, the same things we were expecting before. Right-handed bat. I don't expect a starter besides like what they did with Brubaker at the end of last year, like a depth starter to go be in AAA.
And you're talking about like a move that would be anytime, like the deadline's a different.
The deadline, I
beast.
expect stuff.
Yeah,
for sure.
Right.
I'm talking about end of spring,
Like
right
anything,
now.
like in the next 3 weeks.
Imminent, yeah.
Well, and the Yankees, hey, again, where they deserve pitching credit, the Brubaker move confused us for a little bit. If he comes in and he gives the Yankees 8 good starts this year, is that a win? I don't know. Like the money and just transactionally gets a little weird. So let's see what goes on there. But yeah, I get starting pitchers at this point of camp, even the veteran options out there are a little scary, and it's tough for them to jump into a real throwing program. And I don't know what kind of performance you're going to get out of them compared to Will Warren between Kyle Gibson, Lance Lynn, things like that. The other thing that we haven't really mentioned is the money side of it. Like some of these things we're talking about, the Yankees are in that last luxury tax threshold. So even though they're getting potentially, Buster said it's usually around 75% is the insurance policy. Well, the Yankees are in the threshold where they get charged double, right? So, okay, let's say the Yankees on the bottom line of that P&L. That's why I'm here, guys. That's why it's Sportico, South by Southwest, P&L, profitability and loss, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so if they're saving, the $27 million, okay, if they want to go, if they're saying that's equal, like, hey, cash, these are the rules you get to play in. Well, that's a baseball player who's making 13, 14 million. And I still don't know if the Yankees are going to do that. Like, I don't believe in them financially to take that risk when you could bring in a player at the deadline who's maybe really good, who makes 30 million, but for that year, you only have to pay him 13 million more. And that's your math. And that's your math.
And that's your math.
That's your math.
That's what I'm opening with.
Good opening. Good math. Okay. So, bummer of news.
Yes.
Season's not dead.
No, it is just there's blood in the water, man. The way the Yankees lost the World Series, the fact that the Red Sox had such like a win of an offseason. Dude, even this is just there's a little more blood in the water, dude. The Blue Jays are trying to put together half a season to keep Vladdy. The Rays are ugly, but they're going to be the Rays, and I don't know, probably get fueled by playing at the stadium they want to play in. So I don't know. The whole East just turned into a little bit more of a bloodbath.
Red Sox got better.
So the Blue Jays, man, Santander, Jimenez, like they're putting their best foot forward to try to keep Max Scherzer. They're trying to keep Vladdy. So they're just trying to get
more
2
scared
good
of
months.
Blue Jays teams.
Absolutely. But I'm just saying.
Then the shark turns into an inflatable every time.
In the scope of this season, the Blue Jays are putting everything forward to try to keep 2 months, to try to be in at the trade deadline.
Still with the injuries, the Yankees are projected to be better than all the other teams.
Correct.
Just
And they
not my projections, like the algorithm smart people thing. which aren't
Obviously,
always
the
right,
odds went down.
Yeah.
But
right.
I just, I don't know, man. I'm trying to enjoy. Maybe it's just the temperament of social media these days, which I don't. It's annoying I should stop addressing it. Like, I walked away yesterday and I was like, maybe spring games shouldn't be televised. Like, maybe we should, like, maybe it shouldn't, like, because people can't seem to wrap their head around what it is.
can't just
What
have
it
fun
is
with
in.
it.
Yeah, it's just like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, dude, the video of Boone making fun of Joe's fake golf swing, that kind of killed the season, right? So I get it. I get where the internet's coming from there.
Kay defended us on the show yesterday. I don't know if you heard that at all.
No,
It's crazy.
like that.
It's crazy. He just brought it up. He's like, it's crazy. People are crazy.
Internet's in a rough spot, man.
Mostly Twitter. The rest of them aren't that bad, actually. It used to be Twitter was fun and the rest were bad. There's just no joking or anything. People are like personally insulted that Cole got hurt.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? As a fan, they owe it to me. It's like, whoa.
Got hurt.
I was used to be there, but you guys have tipped it to like, I'm like, oh, I want to
Garrett
enjoy.
Cole.
I want to
Garrett
enjoy
Cole would
watching
love.
the game. Like, I just want to make sure other people are like, I enjoy watching Yankees baseball.
Right.
If you don't, something's gone awry. Don't watch. You know what I mean? It just feels like people are not enjoying it. Like it's a chore.
Garrett Cole would love to not be hurt. I'm going to put that out. I don't want to say I'm leaking that from a source, but I am. Garrett Cole would love to not be hurt. And I think, yeah, man, it's just, you know it. We're lucky enough that we get to meet Yankee fans from all over and, you know, oh, hey, how are you? Nice to meet you. And then the next line, you know, like someone will be like, Stanton again. And they're excited. And you're like, come on, what's that? What is that? So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Everything just turns up a notch. Like Max Fried turns up a notch. Rodon turns up a notch.
Yeah.
Goldie and Belly. So, in a way, I'm excited because, I mean, there's reason to believe in those guys. But part of the reason we were excited before was like, we were like, you know what, Goldie, you can have a bad start as long as you have a good finish. And now that's a little out.
Yeah, I'm not stressing. I'm stressing second half and when their lull starts. Yankees are oddly good at the beginning of the season. They have a schedule of all NL teams. They struggle more against teams that know them very well in the division.
That's true.
I still think there's a chance to get off to a hot start here. Still like a lot of their top-end talent. And I like the lineup,
Oh,
dude.
maybe we're better in the division because the division secret was the Yankees don't play defense.
Yeah.
That was the big secret.
That was the big secret that everyone in the division knew to take advantage of.
Remember when the Red Sox stole 8 or 9 bases?
We were like doing a live event for that. It sucked.
Pretty tough.
Yeah.
That's Little League.
It was awful. I have another thing that I've been,
Nice.
I don't know if this is worth talking about. What else do we have that we're supposed to talk about?
You
wanna
want
do
to
your-
Stanton in already?
Do you want to do your list of righties? Or is it not worth it?
Yeah, I can do that real quick. I promise the people.
Okay, here's Jake's list of potential righty hitters.
Today's episode is sponsored by Mando, the whole body deodorant that's changing the game. As someone who's tried it, I can tell you this stuff works everywhere. Pits, thighs, and yes, even those awkward spots. Created by a doctor, that's good, who saw how BO was being misdiagnosed. Mando is clinically proven to control odor all day long for up to 72 hours. Their aluminum-free formula is powered by mandelic acid to stop odor before it starts, and you can choose from awesome scents like bourbon leather or clover woods. Mando Starter Pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like a mini body wash or deodorant wipes, and free shipping as a special offer for listeners. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off the starter pack with code TalkinYanks at shopmando.com. Shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. So I literally went team by team. There's a couple guys that are more outliers for obvious reasons. You know what? I'll start with the guys that look like potential winners. And again, this is for Yankee fans. This is for if you're in minute 40 of Talking Yanks. This is what we're looking at. Andy Ibanez is a guy in the Tigers, right-handed hitter, hits well against lefties. He's always had good exit velo, but he hits the ball into the ground. He's played third base and left field. BBD's guy, Willie Castro, who's been mentioned for the Twins. This is such a weird thing because all of the guys that came up are the teams that have them like them a lot because they're break glass in case of emergency. A guy I really liked was Dylan Moore from Seattle. Seattle's ballpark is broken. That guys can't hit there. But Dylan Moore has kind of league average batting stats the past couple years. I think he's 31, 32. He's a little older than you think. I think if you threw the Mariners a decent, or not a prospect of sorts, like that's a guy you could bring in that plays every position, that could be a solution at third, left field, wherever you need a guy throughout the year. He's the one that got me the most exciting. Zeke Duran, former Yankee prospect, is on the Rangers bench. He had a bad year after a good year that, again, I don't see the Texas Rangers trading a guy like him because he is an amazing backup plan. Some other fun names along the way. The Twins don't really know what they're doing with Miranda, who plays third and first, also the cousin of Lin-Manuel Miranda, so some New York City stuff. Did I just turn into Ken Jeong on The Masked Singer? I don't know. But the point is, Taylor Ward from the Angels would be a sick fit because you got Fresno State and left field and all that. But yeah, after those kind of versatile guys, it starts going into more third base, left field. And the fact of it is, if a team has their third baseman, left fielder at this point, they're planning on using them. So not a ton of options, but there are a lot of names that got a little Jakey head tilt out of me. Stuart Fairchild. I think we're going to see a new guy on the Yankee bench that fits their right-handed need a little bit.
Okay. I like that list. I mean, I like it as a list. I don't really, no one got me excited.
Yeah. Beebs, if you want to deep dive at some point, Dylan Carlson got a major league contract supposedly, but he's listed as an Orioles minor leaguer, so it might be if he makes the team, he's
Maybe
on.
it's one of those weird, is that what a split deal is?
It's odd because they signed Ramon Laureano too, so you're going to have two veteran. Carlson switch hits, but he's better as a righty. That's the one. He's on the Orioles, so that trade's not going to happen. But if he doesn't make the team, I think that's a guy the Yankees have liked in previous years. So the point of all of this is you'll probably see a new body, and I think catcher too, right? But at this point, it's very doubtful. If you're a Yankee, you like showing up, you like watching Judge, you like hearing us joke around, you want to win the World Series, cool. If everything else is out, no names you've probably heard of.
Yeah. It's probably true. Good way to put it. I have a section I was going to do for you called Tea Leaves, if you're interested in that.
I like tea leaves.
Because a lot of the decisions that we've been pondering, leadoff hitter, backup catcher, third baseman, they're being answered. Like, barring injury, they're answered. Austin Wells has not batted anything besides leadoff. He had one game in spring where he was not the leadoff hitter on February 26th. The next 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that lineups he's been in, he's the leadoff hitter. Jazz Chisholm has been batting not leadoff when Wells is leading off. So it's either Wells or Jazz, but it's looking like they like Wells as the leadoff hitter. And they like putting Jazz behind Goldie so we can get speed in that bottom half of the lineup. Something could change, but as of right now, I'm just telling you, since February 27th, Wells has only batted leadoff.
They're at least really looking at that this spring. Maybe
Don't
they
be
decide
shocked.
they don't like it, but
Yeah.
Everything makes sense, right? Like you don't want to waste a speed guy in front of Judge. Wells has as good of an on-base argument as anyone, so why not?
I think he's a pitches per plate appearance guy. And you like looking into that
Yep.
stuff.
Yeah, he's got on his skill set's on base, pitches per plate appearance, and if you want to put athleticism down in the order, they could change it. They could change it even in the season. But I'm just telling you, if you told me Wells was going to like almost exclusively bat leadoff in spring, I'd be like, oh.
Yeah.
Another thing, backup catcher, Alex Jackson has started one game out of the last 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Out of the last 11, he has started one game. Escara has started 1, 2, 3, 4 of the last 8. And Rice is getting more looks than Jackson at catcher as well. So I think it's Escara or Rice.
They're all in the same neighborhood as far as innings, but Escara does have the most by like 3.
Again,
I think.
I think the only Yankees funny business, they like Escara. We've heard his name for 2 years now. And I don't know, he's got a nice swing. The storyline is cool. You'd love to have one of those guys on the team with all these like former MVPs, a guy that went to indie ball and is coming back. It's just weird because it's two lefties, which, that's a rare one. And then, for me, it's the Yankee funny business meter of if they want to keep Alex Jackson around, do you put him on the roster for the first 3 games? And then if you need to, you call up a Scar, or do you even need the backup catcher? Because we know the Yankees like to value assets probably too much sometimes. But, we're out of MLB catchers.
I don't believe Jackson has to be like saved by adding him to the 40-man before this. Like, I don't think he has enough service time to opt out unless he like negotiated some different deal when he signed with the Reds and the Yankees traded for that. But I think you need at least like 3 years of service time, and he has 2. So I think they're good to stash him.
He's got no option.
Yeah, it's interesting.
He's on a minor league.
Oh, yeah. Well, just so they could be putting a Scar out there more because they're looking to move him and as a piece to get something back. But Alex Jackson's not getting run. I mean, he's not even getting at bats anymore. Where Escara has 24 at bats in spring and Jackson's at 13, and they were the first 3 games they started. They were both in the same lineups, and Escara's gotten more run than Jackson. So that's that situation. And then there was something else I thought was interesting. Belly's the 3-hitter and Judge is the 2-hitter and Wells is the 1. Those are kind of like what they've showed every time that they're thinking of doing right now. Wells, Judge, Belly, Goldie, Jazz.
Yeah, I think the only hurdle, the the hurdle is leadoff because we've done that convo a bunch. We jumped from do you give Judge a look because he's the best leadoff hitter of all time? Do you do Jazz just because it's electric? There's almost an older school feel to having Jazz as the leadoff hitter. We talked about Belly, like a kind of getting maybe your two best hitters up there. Now that Wells is seemingly happened, and it could be, hey, we want to try this as much as possible because maybe it's like the analytics team thinks it will work or won't work, so they're like, let's try this the most. I think it's just to set the tone for the season. Now that that's set, like, okay, Judge is 2, 3 hitter. If it's between Jazz and Belly, it's Belly. Like I hope Jazz enters the mix of that conversation, but Belly, if you smooth over his last 2 years, because if you go way back on Belly, you get MVP numbers from 2017, 2018. Those numbers are a little old now. The numbers from 21, 22, when his shoulder was clearly hurt and he was a totally different player, I think it's fair to throw those out too. If you smooth over his last 2 seasons with the Cubs, he's got an OPS in the low 8s. And he's played a lot of Major League Baseball that I think is your 3-hole hitter. He would win that argument over Jazz, at least to start the season.
Yes. Yeah. Belly is having a great spring. Doesn't mean much, but he's having a great spring. The third base situation is interesting. Whenever Cabrera is in the lineup, and he's been in the starting lineup more than Peraza, he's started 12 times this spring. He's batting 6th, 7th, around there, Cabrera. Whenever Peraza's in, so 12 starts for Cabrera. Peraza's gotten 10 starts, pretty similar. Peraza's always batting 8th or 9th. Their stats, if they're competing for a job, are pretty funny. 25 at bats for Cabrera and 21 for Peraza, similar. Both have a 733 OPS this spring. It's just funny. One of them has a 400 on base percentage and a 333 slugging. The other has a 333 on base percentage and a 400 slugging. And then 280 batting average, 286 batting average. Peraza's got a slightly higher batting average and a higher on base. And Cabrera's got slightly lower batting average and more slug. Seems like Cabrera's what they would lean, or a platoon. I'm interested to see if Cabrera's getting run as a righty batter.
Yeah, it becomes a little bit of a Rudolph, right? Like we've seen the Yankees, we can't lose Cabrera off the bench, and it's like, well, play the best players. Peraza, I mean, we've wrote out that whole storyline, and I hope there's a happy ending at the end of it. But yeah, I mean, even first series against the Brewers, they're projected to go righty, lefty. That I would assume Oswaldo earned the start at third base. Like, that's just do that. And it's Freddie Peralta's a righty. And then I think you just have Peraza ready those first 2 games, ready to run. I would probably pinch hit for Waldo against a lefty. And then, if the third game's against a left-handed starter, that's where you give Peraza a start. And if you're the Yankees, you have like 3 weeks of coverage of doing, and I think we've come around on the theory, like, let everyone play. Like, keep everyone healthy to start the year. Like, spring training is just a bizarre thing that, yeah, that's a nice little bubble to find some things out. And then from there, who knows what injuries happen or what goes on. If Peraza comes out gangbusters, give him a couple more starts. If Oswaldo looks good like he did for the second half of last year, like, then you need to change your Oswaldo mindset. So, I don't know. Again, those are the 2 positive outcomes of that. But yeah, I don't think the Yankees truly have a preference.
Yeah, I mean, Cash had some quotes of like either someone wins the job or Boone like multiplayer, some quote like that.
Yeah.
Uh,
They bring in a third baseman, man.
Cabrera has only had 5 plate appearances this spring as a righty, and none since March 4th. So it's looking like we have a platoon, an Oswald platoon formulating at third, which I don't hate.
Hey, man. I dreamed of days like this. 2 Yankees prospects with the same weird name, kind of platooning.
It's not bad. Both decent /9 in spring.
People sitting on the weird third base left field side finally have something to believe in.
Another odd.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
The front of the shirt says Oswald, and then the back has a big O on it.
The back has a big O.
Oswald. Oh, so if Oswaldo's in, you're just like, yeah. If it's just Oswald,
just in the front.
Just the front.
Okay.
You can wear it to every game, and you're supporting the third baseman.
Business.
Split the shirt. Oh, they don't have last names, so my idea didn't work.
Who's scoring big this NBA season? You are, with all new ways to get in on the action with our partners at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Right now, all new customers who bet just $5 will get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you use code YANKS. From monster slams, dishing the rock, cleaning the glass, get behind your favorite players, and prop bets you can make at DraftKings, the home of NBA player props. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers, use code YANKS. Bet just $5 on any wager and get $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's code YANKS only at DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
All right, some other around spring things that matter, don't matter. The Yankees still are not working on walking in spring by design. It's training. It's you want to practice hitting. Wells, I don't think, has a walk. Nope. Volpe does not have a walk yet. Dominguez has a 3.3 walk percentage. So that's just not. Jazz is still the only one walking. And Peraza. Those 2 guys are walking. Volpe's swinging harder still. Article came out about that. He's not getting hits. And he's K percentage is high. Spencer Jones with a 45% K percentage. Yikes.
Oh.
That's not good.
No, a couple comments on that. Saw Dr. Volpe on the flight down to Tampa and at the stadium. Nice guy. Big Yankee fan. So that was cool to finally cross that off. Someone tagged me in a tweet this morning that said they were selling a Jazz Volpe combo card on the internet, and they said Doc V bought it. I have no idea the merit or the truth to it, but why not?
Why
so
not?
Those are my updates.
Okay, good update. Alex Jackson, 50% K.
You know he goes bigger, he goes home.
The other last thing, I love our guy Ben Rice. I love him. I keep seeing the internet people, Reddit threads clamoring. He's having an off. I don't understand that.
He's having a bad spring.
Yeah. You know, Lombard hits 2
Right.
home runs, and then everyone gets all up, and they're like, he's got to be on team. Warren looks good. Got to be. I know what's happening there. You're seeing good, so you're saying, let's do more of that. So when I went to Rice's stats, I was like, he must be crushing it. And then he's not. So I was like, oh, what's that about? Just we
If
like
he
him?
can hit If he can hit 3 homers in a game, he could do that every game, Jim.
I like Ben Rice, but I mean, a lot of things are set. It seems right now. Wells, Judge, Belly, Goldie, Jazzy, Dominguez, Volpe, third base.
Kind of whatever order of those three.
So, hey, I'm going back to my previous research. If the Yankees bring in a right-handed hitting third baseman, I think they break two players that they kind of need this year. So they're going to bring in a right-handed hitting outfielder.
Dom Smith's been getting some run out and left. Say it was Reyes, Pablo Reyes.
They like Pablo.
Yeah.
That's his natural power alley.
Yeah.
He's got a swing built for the stadium.
He's not
You
striking
play
out.
him anywhere.
I mean, he's having a great spring. Like, having a great spring.
His numbers are good.
Yeah.
Hey, his batting
playing that
practice was
game.
genuinely impressive. So
No, I mean, he's walking. 20% walk rate, 12% K rate, 389 batting average, 500 on base, 440 slug, 24 plate appearances, spring training. Who gives a shit? But he's trying to make a team here. So
and he's played in the major leagues, so I don't know.
I will say Pablo
every
Reyes has
position.
played himself into getting a shot somewhere.
Maybe
He's
it
having
is.
good
When are
spring.
you joining the Pereira hive, bro?
I don't know. I got to start watching spring. But again, I'm starting to think they shouldn't be televising these games. Let the guys.
Yeah, I know.
Let the
I
guys.
know it was
do
a
what they're doing in
conversation
peace.
it was a conversation at spring. I'm kind of with just putting up one camera, and if you want to tune in and just watch like it's a little league game, like I'm kind of into that.
Yeah, there just needs to be just much more of a learning. Like, guys aren't going to want to, I don't know.
Okay.
Probably just Yankees and like 3 other teams that treat it this way.
Right.
Like, such hostility. Spring training's supposed to be fun.
Yeah. Dream.
They
Get to
sent-
see the guys again.
Yeah. All right. See you later. Everson Pereira. Not walking. Good numbers. Good stuff. Has Dominguez made any errors in left while I was at Disney World?
Nothing came across my eyes, and maybe it happened and I just missed it, but I don't believe I've heard any defensive updates there,
Okay.
which is good.
Hell yeah. Go Yanks. Tell them, Grams.
Go Yankees.